Hello, future people. Welcome to Getting Tabled. I'm Jason the Bruce, and today I'm going to start the recording of my journey into Blood Bowl Gnomes. I'm starting the recording of my journey. What does this mean? This means I'm starting this journey today. You probably won't see this video for quite some weeks. We're going to start with an unboxing of the Gnomes team, as well as one of these treemen, because there's no point unboxing both of them. They're both the same. Those that watch the podcast on the weekend will already know this, but some of you may be wondering, Jason, why did you buy two of the same treemen? There's two different ones available. Well, the reason for that is there's a $20 difference between this one and the original one. And quite frankly, this one I think looks better. And I'm not paying $20 more for a different... You can actually build these differently. So why would I pay $20 more for the other one when I can just build this one differently? So, first up, I mean, it's no secret here, but this is just gorgeous, right? I think this might be the best looking box that they've done for Blood Bowl. It's just really pretty. It shows them off really nicely. Gnome Blood Bowl team, the Glimmed Warrow Groundhogs. This is just such a gorgeous version of a team. It's just really cool. Shows everything off on the back as you would expect. It's really, really nice. Read this first. Before assembling your miniatures, please read through this instruction booklet carefully. A pair of plastic... Oh, so it just tells you what to do. Is there anything in this that's more interesting? Nope. Everything seems fairly straightforward. Nothing that's really jumping out at me at this stage. Yeah, no, everything seems pretty straightforward. And here is the important part. I do like the fact that in Blood Bowl they are doing this. For Blood Bowl especially, this is extremely important. But they are giving you your rules in the actual instructions where they should be. I will give them leeway on this with things like 40k and Age of Sigmar. But with Blood Bowl, it's kind of more straightforward of this is how it is. You can have anywhere between 0 and 16 Gnome Linemen. You have anywhere between 0 and 2 Beastmasters. Anywhere between 0 and 2 Illusionists. 0 to 2 Woodland Foxes. There is a downside to the Woodland Fox that we'll come to in a moment. And anywhere from 0 to 2 Ultimate Forest Treemen. So, none of these are required in your team, which is important. I do kind of have a build in mind, mainly from watching other people's recommendations, honestly. I will obviously be running with 2 treemen. That comes from the recommendations that I've been reading. The Woodland Fox has a rule called My Ball, and that basically means that the fox won't give the ball up once he has it, which can be very frustrating, because obviously it's like not everything in Blood Bowl not every skill in Blood Bowl is a skill that you want. So we have a lovely little token here. Really nice. Looks like a Christmas tree that's celebrating and watching. And we're just going through the parts. Lovely detail. A lot of this is not going to be super clear until they're built and painted. I love the goose. The details on the feathers are quite nice, honestly. The sprue itself is very, very full. It doesn't really feel like anything's missing. Like there's no giant gaps or anything. Everything's very, very, very tightly packed in the sprue, which is what you want from a Games Workshop product. Lord knows you spend enough on their products. One thing I've noticed. Since I last bought Blood Bowl minis, they've changed the bases. We don't have those fancy bases with the hole for the ball anymore. That's disappointing. Granted, most people grassed over it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But still, I mean, that was kind of cool in the starter sets and stuff that you used to get in the original edition. Again, lovely box. Nice and standard. This is one of the miniatures that honestly really captured our imagination when we first saw it on the podcast. This is where you kind of get an idea of the fact that you can build it differently. You can see here and here that there are differences already. Slightly more complicated build on this one. This is where we get into the optional nature of everything. It's not quite as densely packed as the previous one, but it's not loosely packed either. Like, there is still a lot of stuff in here. Let's have a look. So this is the main top part. There's our shield that's embedded in the back. There we have one of our faces. Is that the other one? Yep, that's the other one there. The arms are on ball joints, which is nice, so you can pose those however you want as well. That wasn't super obvious from the box, so that's good to see. There's, I think, what's arguably most people's favourite detail, which was the shoe being stuck on the branch there somewhere. I had this memory of a squirrel being on this tree somewhere, but I'm clearly thinking of the other one. There was like this really characterful squirrel on it somewhere, I thought. If you remember the miniature that I'm talking about, because clearly it's not this one, then let me know. Me and my Nadoc top. You may be wondering what my plan is for this. I mean, it's not unusual for me to be unboxing things that came out some time ago. I mean, this isn't old, but it's certainly not new either. We are a small channel. Everything that's featured on this channel, generally speaking, is stuff that we've bought ourselves. Me and my friends have been talking about doing our own little casual, not so much a league, but casual play. Like, there's still going to be progression and so forth. But it's not going to be like a full-on proper campaign. And this is the team that jumped out at me. I touched on this in the podcast. But honestly, the plan for these is I'm actually going to paint these up to look like Smurfs. That's the plan. So obviously there's going to be some experimentation that's going to have to happen here. My intention is to show you one of them being painted up. It's going to be speed painted. It's going to be fairly straightforward. And this will be the first time I've really recorded myself painting on camera. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. It's something I have tried to do a few times, but I think this is something I can actually pull off. So it's going to be a few weeks before you see me again. It'll be a matter of seconds for you. But the next time you see me, I will have my team fully built and primed, and I'll be showing them off. 2,000 years later. So as the text hinted at the start of the video, it's now been quite a few months since the first part of this video that you saw. The first part of this video was recorded at some point within the first 2 weeks of July. At the end of July, unfortunately, I was hit in a hit-and-run accident. We've spoken about that on the podcast a few times. There was a number of months where hobby was just not something I was capable of. And then following that, like once I was back at work full time and stuff, there's been other things that's taken my attention. I don't entirely make apologies for that. I mean, nobody really knew this video was coming. It's something I'd been working on semi-quietly. But I chose not to edit that part of the video out just because I would prefer to be honest about it. The team is mostly finished, with the exception of one character that we will see in a moment. And I think it's about time for you guys to get a look at what I've been working on. So, from the Gnomes, or Smurfs perspective, this is everything that I've been working on so far. Now, as you can see, the goose I've actually painted up as a black swan because I'm Australian and it's just kind of what I wanted to do. I have to admit, I'm actually quite proud of the badger because this was something that we don't have in Australia. It's not something I've ever seen in real life. I'm really happy with how that turned out. This is probably the one thing that I've been putting off for the longest time because I was just... something about painting this kind of terrified me a little bit. Otherwise, that's everything that's been done. This was probably the most simple. The only thing I struggled with was to get these to be different enough where it was clear that they were different things. Because they kind of mixed together to begin with. I had to do several coats of the ball to make it very clear what it was. And behind them, you kind of see a taste of everything that's been used. So, magic blue is the main colour that I've used for the skin. The white has obviously been used for the facial hair. Black grim has been used where I needed the black colours, mainly the animals. Maize yellow has been used for the hair. Blood red was used for the red colours. The metallic has been... I've used a black metallic here. Ruddy fur was for the foxes. And something else. There is something else that's used ruddy fur as well. I don't remember what it is. Initially, I had things largely either white, blue, and red, or the grey was initially missing. Because the issue with the original Smurfs is it's extremely basic. You have a lot of blue and white, which, A, doesn't work because, well, most of them have beards. The only ones that in this set that doesn't have beards are the females, which clearly I've done up as Smurfette. But I didn't want all of them to look like Papa Smurf either. So rather than quite literally being Smurfs, I've used Smurfs as the inspiration. And I've taken all of the colours that I could from the cartoon. So I've kind of mixed everything up. Now the issue with trying to use white for the clothing was that it kind of just blended in with the facial hair a little bit much, because the Smurfs themselves don't wear tops. So what I've done is I've gone with a more neutral colour. And that's where this grey has come from. This is Gravelord Grey. And I did that largely because it was a nice neutral colour. It didn't really... It allowed everything else to stand out pretty much. It's just a neutral tone that kind of just fades away, if that makes sense. What was even more simple was the trees. But at this particular point, these are reverse paint jobs. This one has none of the additional accessories in it. Plus, they've both got different heads as well. They do both have this same arm. That's not really an option. You have to use that same arm with both of them. The nest is painted upstairs. I haven't painted the shoe yet because I haven't decided what I want to do with the shoe. It's straightforward, but it works. This is just a palette swap, and I mean that quite literally. This shield is that colour. That shield is this colour. This is dark wood and hardened leather. And it's just palette swapped, like I said. I don't remember what colour I used for the eggs, to be honest. So that leaves this guy. So what's the plan? Well, the plan is exactly what I told you. The plan is that I'm going to paint this up and show you how it was done. I will be leaving this at a rather simple tutorial. This is the first time I will have ever painted on camera. I do apologise if this doesn't come out as expertly as what you will have seen from channels that do this kind of thing all the time. This is quite literally the first time I've ever even tried to do this. And there we are so far. So, what are we still left to do? Obviously this needs to dry. This needs to be painted the black metallic. The ruddy fur will need to be highlighted back up to white. The reason we're doing that is so we can get the gradient back up to the white beard again. And of course the jacket needs to be taken to that Gravy Lord grey. I'm deliberately leaving that at this stage. And we've got a little tuft of grass here that needs to be done as well. A couple of things that's probably worth noting at this point. I'm not using a very expensive brush. In fact, I'm using an extremely cheap brush. You can get some decent control out of speed paints if you're just careful with them. The thing you need to be careful with is pooling. If you see some things that are starting to pool, like you saw me capturing this here as it was starting to pool at the bottom, I'm just wicking away the extra so that you don't end up with any of those horrible stains. I don't see any of it in the red. Now, the other thing that you will notice is that I've painted these gloves as if they're skin. You may not want to do that. I've chosen to do that and just make them look really cartoony. I mean, they are being inspired by a cartoon, so I figure why not? I don't think that's too bad. Is this the world's best painting? Nope. It's fairly simple. It's fairly rudimentary. It's really, really simple. The other thing that has been done is you'll notice he has some white eyebrows here. I did have to be very, very careful with those. They actually all have these bushy eyebrows. And I basically, with this brush, I was very, very careful. And I just traced over it with a dry brushing motion very carefully. So again, is this the best painting video that you're going to see today? No, but I hope that it inspires you to some extent and shows you that you don't have to have the world's best brushes, the world's best painting palette. Lord knows I need to replace this one. In order to be able to achieve something, just do something to your own level and enjoy it. That's the important thing. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I have never tried to film myself recording in the past. First thing I've noticed, it's really hard not to hit my phone when I'm trying to paint something because it's so close. Little bit of feedback. Let me know what you think. Is this something that you would be willing to continue entertaining? Or should I give up now before I go any further? Thank you very much. Get out there and paint something and do it your own way.